pleasant good morning to one and all. I am Shirley Jose, Social Science Teacher, High School Section, Concord English Higher Secondary School. Today, October 24, the United Nations Day or UN Day. The world had already witnessed 2 world wars. After the First World War, the League of Nations was formed, but it failed to maintain the world peace. After the Second World War also, efforts were taken to set up an international organization for preserving global peace. This resulted in the formation of United Nations Organization on 24th October 1945. Here, our students want to share some important information about the UN. So kindly watch the video and encourage them. Thank you.
Formation of UN. The First World War and the Second World War caused a lot of destruction. Millions of men, women and children lost their life and many more people were left homeless. The economy of many countries were ruined since a huge amount of money was spent in these wars. All this caused suffering to millions of people all over the world. Many countries realized that wars were not a solution to any problem. They should avoid at any cost. These countries felt that an organization should be formed to stop such wars in future. The League of Nations. The League of Nations was formed after the World War, but it could not prevent another worldwide conflict. After the Second World War, another organization was formed. This was the United Nations Organization or UNO. The UN Charter was signed by 50 member countries on 24th October 1945 in San Francisco, USA. This day is observed as the United Nations Day every year. Today, nearly 200 countries are the part of organizations. Objectives of UN. The main objective of the UN are to promote peace in the world, friendly relation among the nations, cooperation and solving economic, social and humanitarian problems on an international level, respect of human rights and freedom. The UN neither makes law nor imposes taxes. It is a place where issues are discussed and solutions were worked out. Any country that is committed to be peace and accepts the goal of the UN Charter can become its member. The member countries of the UN try to solve international problems and work together to improve the conditions of the poor, homeless and other weaker sections of society. Organs of UN. The work of the UN is carried out by the 6 main organs, out of which 4 are the main. General Assembly. General Assembly is the main body of the UN. It is like the parliament of any country. Each member country has 1 vote in General Assembly. It means once a year in November. Its headquarters are in New York. Security Council. The Security Council is responsible for international peace and security. It has 15 members, 5 of which are permanent. China, France, Russia, UK and USA are the permanent members. The rest are non-permanent members elected for a period of 2 years. Economic and Social Council. The UN has created a network of agencies to help the poor, the sick and the illiterate. These agencies work under the Economic and Social Council. They look after issues such as human rights, equality of women and regulation of trade. International Court of Justice (ICJ). ICJ is a legal court of the UN. It considers disputes between the countries and advises member countries on the matters of international law. The court has 15 judges. Its headquarters is at The Hague, Netherlands.
Agencies of UN. There are many agencies of UN which work on common world problems. Some of the agencies are as follows: United Nations Educational, Scientific and Culture Organization (UNESCO). It contributes to peace and security by encouraging international cooperation in education, science and culture. It protects human rights. United Nations Children's Fund (UNICEF). It works for children's rights, their development, protection and survival. World Health Organization (WHO). It looks after public health on an international level. Its main task is to promote the general health of people of the world. Food and Agriculture Organization (FAO). It is an agency that is working towards removing hunger from the world. Its Latin motto means "Let there be bread." International Labour Organization (ILO). This organization aims promote opportunities to men and women in obtaining work. Achievements of UN. UN has been very successful in maintaining peace in the world. It has been able to solve many international disputes. It has prevented conflict from growing into major wars. It is also involved in peacekeeping operations. It makes effort to prevent misuse of destructive weapons. Today, the world is a better place to live in largely due to the UN. Thank you.
The UN promotes maternal health.
The UN combats climate change.
The UN helps people in emergency.
The UN works for peace.
UN fight for poverty. The UN vaccinates children. The UN feeds hungry populations.
The UN assists refugees.
The UN promotes human rights. The UN promotes disarmament. UN works for primary education. The UN works to prevent conflict.
List of UN Secretary Generals: Tryggve, Dag Hammarskjöld, U Thant, Kurt Waldheim, Javier Perez de Cuellar, Brutus Halley, Kofi Annan, Ban Ki-moon.
On June 15th, China and India's military troops clashed in hand-to-hand combat along a disputed border in the Himalayan mountains, resulting in deaths from both sides. This was the deadliest confrontation between India and China along that border in 45 years, marking a dangerous escalation between the two nuclear powers. In the 1950s, a term was used to describe the relationship between India and China, Hindi Chini Bye Bye, which means India and China are brothers. However, that was the exception rather than the norm, with a deep-seated mistrust on both sides still felt today. Between 1993 and 2005, India and China signed a series of border agreements, including a 1996 agreement prohibiting the use of firearms in the volatile area. So what are both sides fighting over exactly, and what is the significance?
The McMahon Line forms a part of the long border between China and India, which extends for more than 3,400 kilometers in the mountainous region of the Himalayas. This frontier is referred to as the Line of Actual Control, or the LAC, which includes landmarks such as the Pangong Lake and the Galwan Valley. There are no official records or real-life markings delineating the actual LAC, resulting in grey zones between the Chinese and Indian patrols. The LAC fringes mountains, valleys and plateaus, making the flow of goods and activities laborious. As a result, India has been upgrading its roads and military infrastructure for over a decade, which will allow the rapid deployment of its forces. Galwan River, where the latest fatal confrontation occurred, has a vantage point of a road being built by India, which makes it a strategic and significant location. China has also been building its own infrastructure and military outposts along the LAC, including a highway connecting China's sensitive regions of Xinjiang and Tibet. The country also has more infrastructure projects west of the LAC, which connects China to Pakistan as part of its Belt and Road Initiative, adding to India's wariness.
But the tension between India and China goes beyond their land borders, and given their economic might, this will have broader implications for the region and the rest of the world too.
Even before the latest clash, geopolitical tensions between the two juggernauts have been on the rise of late. India's neighbors, Pakistan, Sri Lanka and Nepal, have forged closer ties to China in the recent years under its Belt and Road Initiative. To counter the rise of China, India has sought closer ties with strategic players such as the United States, Russia, Japan and Australia.
What you will see, I think, is India trying to find its own way to put pressure on China. India will be trying to improve its relationships with Australia, with Japan, with Vietnam, with the United Kingdom, with all of the countries who are worried about China, in order to give itself a little bit of leverage.
The pandemic has taken a toll on the economies of both countries. This means that the dynamics between Beijing and New Delhi have shifted too.
As companies evaluate their supply chains in the wake of the pandemic and the trade war between the US and China, India has been positioning itself to lure more foreign investment. In recent years, Prime Minister Modi's office has pushed for India to be self-reliant and has imposed curbs on Chinese imports and investment. The latest clash has also led to a boycott of Chinese companies in India, including a ban of nearly 60 Chinese apps such as TikTok and WeChat, while Chinese firms Huawei and ZTE may be excluded from the rollout of India's 5G network. Indian startups, which have been courting Chinese funding in recent years, are also finding themselves in a quandary. Indian food delivery unicorn Zomato raised $150 million from China's Alibaba Group in January 2020, while its competitor Swiggy is backed by Tencent and Meituan Dianping. While it is unlikely that the border clash will lead to a full-blown military conflict between India and China, the saber rattling hasn't ceased. The confrontation may just widen their geopolitical rivalry on other fronts in an increasingly divisive world.
She was responding to a question on the martyrdom of Indian Army personnel in a violent face-off in Ladakh's Galwan Valley amidst escalating tensions at the LAC. In her response, she said, and I quote her, "Yes, we are concerned about the reports of violence and deaths at the line of actual control between India and China, and we urge both sides to exercise maximum restraint. We take positive note of reports that the two countries have engaged to de-escalate the situation."